Just as a bit of a review, critical race theory, the basics: only white people can be racist. All white people are racist and will be eternally. You have to have a huge bureaucracy and educational institutions, historians, journalists, etc., academics, intellectuals, really crashing down on this thing. White supremacists and racism, that's the source of every problem. Definitely causes some problems. Western civilization is oppressive. All its institutions should be dismantled. That's the judicial system, freedom of speech, marriage, democracy, that kind of thing. We want to get rid of that. Equity, we all get paid the same no matter what we do. Diversity is fewer white men anywhere, the better. Inclusion is the fewer white men, the better. Rewrite history. The first sentence of 1619, as it turns out, is a lie, because it says that slaves arrived in the United States in 1619, but in fact, they weren't slaves, they were indentured servants. People don't like to talk about indentured servants, even though they were treated pretty bad. Not quite as bad as slaves, but a lot of indentured servants were white. And so, okay, here's the thing. They don't actually regard one instance of human suffering to be equal to another instance of human suffering, because white suffering does not matter as much. That's really the basics of it. That's the full evil impact of it. Unconscious bias, microaggressions, resegregation, political violence, rah-rah, BLM, CRT. The BLM and the Democratic Party defrauded the entire country with obvious election fraud. But the capitalists at Amazon and Twitter and Facebook and YouTube take a kind of a dim view of that. So we don't pay that much attention. BLM, the leaders, took off with a bunch of money. Black people in the United States say that actually BLM didn't help them at all, but created a bunch of violence, and now they're in a worse situation than they were before. But even black lives don't matter, because what matters is the lives of people who agree with critical race theory. And I think that, yeah, that's the thing. You have to be an anti-racist. So, yeah, they don't care about black people. It's a virtue signaling exercise. And that's about it. We'll have to get back to that. But anyway, corrupt the whole election system. Why not? Because the election system is a tool of white supremacy and Western civilization. This is really what they're about. The shrinking white population everywhere is great. So Canada, the United States, all that. It's not just neutral. It's good. It's great. Because when we get rid of whitey, things are going to get better. They say that white people should give up the sense of security they have in their own homes. They say that. So you got Black Lives Matter and Antifa outside, and white people need to accept that in their homes they might not be quite as safe. They should give up the sense of safety. So you're the whitey, you're there. Don't expect to, if you expect to feel safe in your own home, you're a racist. They reject Martin Luther King. So Martin Luther King was all about judging people on the content of their character, not the color of their skin. They reject Martin Luther King, okay? Okay? The nuclear family is oppressive. Capitalism is evil until they profit, right? BLM, the Democratic Party, Facebook or whatever, they can make tons of money promoting this hostility and conflict. That's okay. The critical race theory, culture Marxists are not Marxists, because Marxists are concerned about classes of people. These people aren't. What they're concerned about is the super rich, making as much money as they can. Don't confuse them with communists. And so we go on from there. I want to get to the similarities between religion and critical race theory, but I think it might be an idea, since we've only got about a minute and a half left here, is talk about CRT is similar to fascism. CRT tends to be anti-Semitic. It's kind of a problem, you might recall, in the 40s Germany. Political violence, the Nazis, fascists, big on that. Recent incarnation of BLM Antifa, propaganda censorship, political persecution. They tried to persecute Trump for 3 years and say that election wasn't legitimate. And then they defrauded the election, and they came back and said that the big lie was that there was fraud in the election. And there was obviously fraud in the election. Give it 6 months, and I'm going to give you evidence and logic to convince you that the election was horribly fraudulent. But, fascists, Nazis, CRT, BLM, Antifa, they're not big on democracy. They're racist, segregationists. They don't have a strong man. That's true. Trump is an authoritarian personality. That is true. He benefited off the fact that there was tension between the races. That is true. Admit it. We get it. But he did so many good things for the American president. You could argue that he's the best American president ever. And that brings us to the end of Lecture 4.